I provided privacy for my patient by closing the doors in the room. Hi, my name is Nicole and I'm an Oakland University nursing student. What's your name?
Molly.
Hi Molly, nice to meet you. Today I'll be doing an assessment of your neurological system and musculoskeletal system. I'm just going to start by washing my hands and asking you a few questions. So can you state your first and last name for me?
Molly Warner.
And where are you right now?
My house.
And what's today's date?
April 11th.
And why are you here?
For a checkup.
Okay, so Molly's answered 4 out of 4 questions correctly, therefore I can note her level of consciousness as alert and oriented times 4. Have you experienced any trauma?
No.
And have you noticed any muscle or joint pain, numbness, weakness, or tingling?
No.
Okay, good. So I can now move on to the neurological assessment. So I'm going to start with cranial nerve 3, oculomotor, cranial nerve 4, trochlear, and cranial nerve 6, abducens. I'm just going to take my pen light and look at the pupil size on both sides. Okay, I see that they are a 3 on both sides. I also see a round shape and they appear to be equal on each side. So now I'm going to test the reactivity to light. I'm going to do the direct and indirect and direct and indirect response on both sides. They were both reactive to light, so now I can do accommodation. Just go ahead and follow my pen with your eyes. Okay, good. So I can move on to cardinal positions of gaze. Follow my light with your eyes again. Okay, so I can note no abnormal movements there, and I can also note that my patient has demonstrated perla. So we can now move on to cranial nerve 5, trigeminal. I'm just gonna go ahead and feel your masseter bone, just masseter muscle. Go ahead, open your mouth and clench your teeth. Okay, so cranial nerve 5 is intact. Now you can move on to cranial nerve 7, which is the facial nerve. Go ahead, smile for me, raise your eyebrows, and puff out your cheeks. Good, so cranial nerve 7 is intact. Now cranial nerve 11, the spinal accessory nerve, I'm gonna push down on your shoulders if that's okay, and just try to shrug up and resist. Okay, so cranial nerve 11 is intact. And now cranial nerve 12, the hypoglossal nerve, I'm gonna have you stick out your tongue. And I see the tongue is midline, so cranial nerve 12 is intact. Now we're gonna do cerebellar function, so I'm gonna have you flip your hands back and forth on your legs. Good, you can go ahead and stop. I can note no abnormal movements with that, so I know that the cerebellum is working properly. And now I'm going to move on to the musculoskeletal assessment. So I'm going to start with the shoulders, and inspecting them, I see that they're symmetrical on both sides. I'm going to palpate if that's okay. I feel that it is warm to touch. Any pain or tenderness?
No.
Okay, good. So now we're going to move on to range of motion. If you want to stand up for me, I'm going to have you put your arms up to the sky for me and down, extend them down. And then we're going to abduct out and adduct in. And then we're going to make a touchdown shape. And we're going to flip it over for external rotation. So she has full range of motion in her shoulders. You can go ahead and sit back down. And now we're going to move on to the elbows. So I see that the elbows are an even skin tone and color on both sides. I also see that there is no edema or swelling present. So now I'm going to palpate. Any pain or tenderness as I do this?
No.
Okay, good. So now we're going to do range of motion of your elbows. So go ahead and go like this and flex up and extend down. And then for pronation, we're going to flip over, and supination, palms up. So everything looks good there. She has full range of motion in her elbows. So now we're going to test her muscle strength. So I'm going to have you make a shape like this, and go ahead and resist, and then push against. Okay, so she has a muscle strength of 5 in her elbows. So I can now move on to the wrist and hands. So I'm just going to look and inspecting. I see an even skin tone and color consistent with the rest of the body. I don't see any edema or swelling present. I'm going to palpate. Do you feel any pain or tenderness?
No.
Okay, good. So I can note no pain or tenderness as I did this. So now we're going to move on to range of motion. I'm just gonna have you extend the wrist, and then we're gonna flex the wrist down. We're gonna make a fist shape for flexion of the fingers and extend the fingers. Now we're gonna adduct, put our fingers together, and abduct, spread them out. Okay, good. So I can note that Molly has full range of motion in her wrist and hands. So now I'm gonna test her grip strength. Just go ahead and squeeze on my fingers. Okay, so she has a grip strength of 5 in both hands. So now I'm gonna test her capillary refill on both sides. Okay, I can see that it took less than 3 seconds on both hands, which is normal. So I can now look at her radial and brachial pulses. I'm gonna start with radial on the right arm and left arm, and then brachial, same thing on the other side. Okay, I can note a regular and steady rhythm and a strength of 2+ in both the radial and brachial pulses. So now I'm going to move on to patient supine. If you want to go ahead and lay down for me, we're going to take a look at her lower extremities. So just inspecting, I see that the iliac crest is symmetric, and I also see the lower legs and the knees are aligned, and I do not see any edema on the knees or the ankles. So now I'm going to go ahead and palpate the hips, knees, and ankles, starting with the hips. Any pain or tenderness?
No.
Okay. The knees, any pain or tenderness?
No.
Okay, and the ankles? Any pain or tenderness there?
No.
Okay, good. So now I'm going to test for pretibial edema. I'm just going to go ahead and push down and see. Okay, so there's no indication of pretibial edema. So now I'm going to test the capillary refill of her toes on the right side and then on the left side as well. And I see that it took less than 3 seconds on both feet, so that's normal. Now I'm going to check the dorsalis pedis pulse on her left foot and on her right foot. And then we're going to test the posterior tibial on the inside of both. Okay, so I can note a regular rhythm and pulse strength of 2+ for both the dorsalis pedis pulse and posterior tibial pulse. So now we're going to do range of motion. Just go ahead and take one of your legs and put it up to your chest, and then you can go ahead and put it back down. Now other leg. Okay, and that's extending it down. Now we're going to put it out to the side like a snow angel for abduction, and in for adduction. Same thing with the other leg. Okay, good. So I can note full range of motion in her hips and knees. So you can go ahead and sit back up for me. Okay, so we're now going to test the muscle strength of her hips. So I'm going to push down on your thighs and just try to resist. Okay, and now the muscle strength of her knees. Go ahead and push. Okay, so they both have a muscle strength of 5, so that's good. And now we're going to do range of motion of the ankles. So I'm going to have you point both your toes. Okay, that's plantar flexion, and go ahead and flex your feet for dorsiflexion. And then we're going to put our heels together for eversion, and then our toes in for inversion. So she has full range of motion in her ankles. Everything looks good there. And now we're going to do muscle strength. So I'm just going to put my hand under your foot and push on it like a gas pedal. Okay, and same thing with the other foot. Good. And go ahead and try to push against my hand. And same thing here. Okay, good. So she has a muscle strength of 5 in both her feet. So now I can move on. You can go ahead and stand up for me. I'm going to take a look at your spine if you want to turn around. So I can see that it appears to be symmetric, and I can also see the contour of it. I see that cervical is concave, thoracic is convex, lumbar is concave, and sacral is convex. So I'm going to go ahead and palpate down her whole spine. Let me know if you feel any pain or tenderness. Any pain or tenderness?
No.
Okay, good. So I can note no pain or tenderness. Now we're gonna move on to range of motion. If you wanna turn around for me, go ahead, touch your toes for flexion, and then we're gonna extend back. You can stand up and extend back for extension, come back up. And then we're gonna rotate left and rotate right. And then we're gonna do lateral bending to the left and then go to the side on your right. Okay, good. And now I can note full range of motion for that, so we can do gait. So go ahead and just walk how you properly would here and back. Okay, and then walk heel to toe for me. Okay. And then walk just on your tippy toes. If you want to do it back here a little more. Here, move over here so the camera. Okay, on your toes. And then on your heels. Okay, so you can go ahead and sit back down. I can note that she had full range of motion earlier, and she was also able to perform gait, and her posture appeared to be normal and everything looked good there. So I can now wash my hands. I have finished this assessment for today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.